And this week we spent the week learning with all of our school building leaders as well as all of our central office leaders and really talked about the importance of working within collaborative teams and working together to identify problems of practice and areas of focus and the power of doing that as a team rather than as individuals.
Yes, and I think one of my biggest takeaways is just and reflections is how the district office and our team in particular can be of service to the other teams, how we can play our part in helping the building teams, the teaching teams reach their goals for their students.
I think my takeaway is just a lot of hope looking ahead. Being in Monroe for over 20 years, we've been trying to do this work in pockets, and it's been really challenging. And I think the fact that as a district we're moving forward together is going to help us actually achieve our goals and meeting the needs of all of our kids and having all students learning at a high level. And that feels really good after a couple of challenging years.
So this week I've learned so far the importance of breaking down silos and the positive impact that can have on transportation and the opportunities that would present itself to collaborating with everyone else in the district. And I'm committed to taking a look at that and how a PLC within transportation could really have really profound impact as far as student management.
Yeah. I loved seeing how people working together can do so much more than somebody working alone. Nobody has the energy or all the information to make decisions on their own. I loved learning more about the power of collaboration and working
Takeaways
together.
this week has been about how our professional learning communities don't just start and stop in the building and at the classroom level, but involve our entire buildings working together, multiple buildings working together, and the district as a whole, and how important that is to reach our goals as a district.
PLC and Guiding Coalition. I've been a fan of PLCs as far as the individual PLC I'm involved with. It's a great place for us to get together, figure out what we're going to do together, and be on track with the same key essential standards that we're measuring and teaching. And we don't have to do all the work ourselves. We spread it out and we just build things together, and it works out great. So I'm a PLC fan.
Here at Maltby, we're at the beginning stages of creating norms, goals that are based off of the data that we've collected on our students, and establishing common formative assessments.
Our last unit assessment for sixth graders on ratios and proportions, we are looking at testing them on, what do we say, equivalent ratio tables, correct?
Ratio tables.
Okay. So we need to build our assessment, which I think if we take a look at our planning calendar. So part of what we're doing when we're selecting problems is we do the problems ourselves so we could figure out where the kids might get stumped.
This week, the elementary administrators spent time learning more about the PLC process and collaborating around the cycle of inquiry.
One of our takeaways was the importance of establishing a through line from our work at the Guiding District Coalition to a Building Guiding Coalition. Because of this,
we are committing to establishing a guiding coalition within all of our buildings at the beginning of the year.
Another important takeaway we had was the importance of establishing protocols and structures for our collaborative teams.
We commit to providing the time and support that teams need to establish their structures and protocols.
we're looking forward to a great year and starting our guiding coalitions this year. So
at Chain Lake this year, we are really pleased with how our guiding coalition, our building guiding coalition has been set up. We decided at the beginning of the year that meeting more consistently for shorter amounts of time would really help us keep the momentum and plan and be responsive to what our building needed. So we meet every Thursday morning for just half an hour, and we have a representative from every grade level team, as well as our MLL lab teacher and our resource teacher. And we meet as a group, and we sort of structured our meetings that we flip-flop every other week. So building directed Fridays are typically every other week, And the Thursday after the Building Directed Friday, we spend the bulk of our meeting sharing out what teams did at that last Building Directed collaborative team time. And then we start to plan for the following week, which will again be Building Directed. Then that second week where there wasn't a Building Directed Friday beforehand, we really finalize our plans and talk about what teams need. And I will say those Thursday morning meetings are short, but the discussion is really rich and really focused on the work. And we've created this predictable pattern, both for the Guiding Coalition, but also for our staff, because every Building Directed Friday, we have set up in a way that we come together as a staff for 20 to 30 minutes and do some sort of small piece that we talk about together in terms of the work, whether it's talking about SMART goals, whether it's talking about common formative assessment alignment or something along those lines. And then we send teams to have a good solid hour to work as a collaborative team and really engage and do the work.
So we're not necessarily working on SMART goals, we're doing the pre-alignment to get to where we can eventually be there and just working together.
Because I went and investigated and they are all over the map, from like some are like a simple sentence, some are spelling out the whole standard, so I'm wanting clarification.
But the one cool thing about the way they did do it now with the standards on the website is that you can see the progression. I haven't looked at writing.
Can you show that? Because I didn't ever see that.
So the benefit I find for Guiding Coalition is that it's been the missing link between the district office and the teachers. So now we feel that we're on the same page and we're all working toward the same goal instead of each of us having a different focus.
The Guiding Coalition that I'm on, I'm finding it interesting because it's allowing us to get the whole school together on PLC methods, I guess. And it's there to not only help give some guidance to it, but also support. And I'm looking forward to what we're doing in the future with it as we're identifying some processes to help out students with interventions to help them.
Elementary. I've been in Monroe for 22 years, and I have to say that the Courageous Conversations PD was the best that I have had in all of those years. I believe that we need, as a system, tools to have these difficult conversations that we have historically avoided because they are full of fear or discomfort and uncomfortable to have with others.
So I have been with the district for over 20 years, and the professional development we had this past summer was the first of this kind that I've ever experienced. I greatly appreciate the school board funding Courageous Conversations. It was such an emotional experience, an eye-opening experience, and one where myself and other colleagues had great conversations afterwards. And it was a great starting place for us. And I, again, want to thank the school board for funding this, and I plead that they continue to do so because it's so important for our school district.
And when it comes to our training last summer, right before school started, with Courageous Conversation, what I would like to say is that our trainer, our facilitator, Julia Berry, was amazing. And I say that in that I came into that training pretty hesitant, semi-skeptical. It's a really tough topic around the country, but she was able to create this safe space. She was at a place where she could gently invite us into thinking about what our upbringing was, allowed us to seriously listen to others, and just thoughtfully invited us into a courageous conversation about this topic so that our district can really move forward.
Courageous Conversations training provided us with an opportunity to share and learn with open hearts. It was so incredibly powerful to sit together as a large collective group and to feel trust, vulnerability, and respect while discussing racial identity, each other's lived experiences, and privilege. This training also identified a very clear urgency for continued work in this area. This learning gave me valuable awareness, tools, and courage to have important conversations about race. Most importantly, the training gave me an opportunity to understand how and why my students need to be seen, and what it really means for me as a teacher to create a safe and welcoming place for my students, not only in my classroom, but also in our schools. Thanks to the opportunity to participate in this training, I now feel I have some tools for supporting students and facilitating the conversations about race in my classroom. And I'm also very much looking forward to continued professional development in the area of diversity, equity, and inclusion.
And I'm just very grateful that I was able to participate in the Courageous Conversation training that we had in August. As an educator of color, it was very apparent to me after doing the training how isolated some of our populations of students must feel here in Monroe. And I think it's important that I do my best now to help every student feel that they belong in Monroe, and Courageous Conversation is a way for me to help my students feel a sense of belonging.
And I want to just say, when I first heard about this training, I was really nervous. I was afraid that I was going to get told how to think, how to act, how to behave, or I might be let go or disciplined. But the event was really eye-opening for me as I saw my own life through the lens of privilege. It has softened my approach and increased my desire and ability to help students recognize the diversity around them and learn from each other. It's made me aware even more than before of what students might be bringing from home or other areas with them each day, and how to relate to them through their struggles while helping them be their own best selves. As an extra, it's expanded my views and outlooks, which regards to my personal and professional relationships. I could see and express different thoughts when challenging discussions happen about equity and diversity, and I feel like a better representation of the person I am called to be.
From Courageous Conversations is that we had staff members that never share their journey as a person of color and as a member of our staff. And the most eye-opening is when someone said to us, "I hope this year is more tolerable because my coworkers understand me better." I had never thought that that person would have felt that way. So learning something that meaningful made me really think more about my students that have to feel that way. I think it's been great because we're willing to have more conversations than ever before, but we definitely have a long way to go still and need more training to help us get farther along.
And after the Courageous Conversation training that we did in August, I felt a whole bunch of emotions. The first emotion I felt was just this weight that I didn't realize I carried, that other people carry, that's heavier than mine. And being able to connect with friends of mine that are a different race than myself and being able to actually start to have conversations about it really opened my eyes. One of my friends that I've known since the 3rd grade answered all these questions way different than me, that I had no idea she was going to answer in that way. So it was really heavy at first, but then afterwards we were left with the compass, and the compass of either feeling, thinking, or action. And after feeling that heavy weight, I now feel like I've now moved into the thinking portion where, okay, I feel this way, but now it's time to think about what I can do to change and how can I help this with my students that I see every day. And then as that thinking process starts, I now want to jump into action. Okay, well, what can I do tomorrow to make a difference, to make it more equitable for all students? How can I make the music room a place that every person feels welcome, no matter their age, what they look like, or where they come from? What can I do today, even if it's small, because baby steps build success?
My takeaways from this week of learning are both the CCDI work and our PLC work are closely tied in that being culturally responsive and the work of becoming a district-wide PLC are one and the same. In both situations, there needs to be deep listening, hear all voices, and understand backgrounds in order to build strong, trusting relationships to move forward for the betterment of our students and our community.
A lot of learning, we've done a lot of unlearning, and some relearning. And we know that the strength of our community, whether that's an individual building or this district, the strength of this district is that we know that we have amazing educators, we have amazing administrators, we have phenomenal students, and we know that if we work together, which is the strength of our community, that we are going to have students learn more. So as a learning organization, kids are learning,